So today's lesson, we will be talking about immigration again. We've been talking about that for the last couple of weeks. At the end of the day today, we want you to be able to meet this learning objective, that students will be able to describe the implications of the United States policy towards those seeking refugee or immigrant status from the Nazis during World War II, those that specifically in regards to European Jews. And explaining what the documents were and how the United States chose to handle the visa applications from those individuals. If we're looking back into some other history, after World War I, Jewish citizens were kind of praised for the outcome of the war. They were given a higher status, and then a couple of years later, everything turned around and was kind of blamed on the Jewish individuals. They lost their jobs, they had to move out of their homes, were put into different communities. And that was made even worse when Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany in 1933. And that kind of was a turning point for a lot of individuals. Those who had gotten out of countries like Hungary and Poland and found refuge in Germany were now also being kicked out of Germany and being kind of brought down upon there. At the beginning of the war, many individuals who had connections to the United States via family, people that they knew as colleagues, were able to come into the United States and get a job and become an immigrant and get through that visa application process very quickly and didn't really come into any barriers. However, once the war began, a lot of the immigration and visa status was delayed. Different things were put into place that would stop the visa process from happening for those Jewish refugees. One of the things that we want to look at is a letter. Let's see if I can find the letter. It's from Franklin D. Roosevelt when he was president, and it was with the dilemma that he had faced. And it is from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, and I'm going to read that to you guys. Is one of the reasons that the refugees were kind of given that delay on their visa process. It said that establishing a haven in the United States for German refugees was extremely difficult for a variety of reasons. Among these were general questions regarding immigration to the United States. The new quota system of the 1924 U.S. Immigration and Nationality Act imposed severe restrictions on immigration based on nationality. Moreover, in 1930, Roosevelt's predecessor announced that given acute unemployment during the Depression, U.S. immigration authorities would interpret a 1917 ban on immigration of persons likely to become a charge to include persons who would otherwise be able to work, but in the conditions of the Depression were unlikely to find a job. Essentially, it was saying that they would not let in excess people to the country, otherwise it might put a hold on U.S. citizens finding a job, and then they were already suffering from a lack of jobs during the Great Depression. The U.S. State Department policies made it very difficult for refugees to obtain entry visas. We noticed this in situations like the St. Louis was a ship that was full of Jewish refugees. When they tried to cross over and come to America, they were denied from Canada, Cuba, and the United States before being sent back to Belgium, and then at that time more than 1/3 of them eventually succumbed and died at concentration camps throughout World War II. Despite the ongoing persecution of Jews in Germany, the State Department's attitude was influenced by the economic hardship and an intensified grassroots of anti-Semitism, or that hatred of Jews within the United States. And the number of entry visas was further limited by the department's inflexible applications of a restrictive immigration law passed by Congress in 1924. And beginning in 1940, the United States further limited immigration by ordering American consuls abroad to delay visa approvals on national security grounds. So they weren't turning down the visas, but under the table they're delaying it, they're losing these applications, they're not trying to, approve them, they're just trying to avoid it at all costs. So one of the first documents I want you guys to look at is going to be right over here. And this is the memo